Guys, we always have our future in writing gay pornos to fall back on. Never forget.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be
I do
Benjamin's
actually think
butthole?
about that.
Benjamin.
How good would it be to
for sure,
write
Benjamin's
some
butthole.
fun porno?
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to be the intro because I'm starting the podcast now. Folks, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name is Jordan Dahl.
I'm Nate Balding.
I'm Roger Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by the Monstroco Whispering Cube. This small, lightweight cube emits a supraliminal whispering that repels mosquitoes, birds, horses, you name it. Animals won't come near this thing. Just place it in an outside area you wish to keep free of wildlife and try not to stare for too long into its fathomless black finish. The Whispering Cube by Monstroco. Side effects include impending doom, waking visions, and apocalyptic urges.
I hear if you can align all of its 9 faces together, it opens a labyrinth that your skin will never escape.
That is propaganda made up by the makers of the Shouting Pyramid to try to bring down the Whispering Cube. It has 10 faces.
What? Because I haven't received mine yet. What is an apocalyptic urge?
Oh, you feel the urge to perform actions that helps hasten the apocalypse.
Rituals to summon the sleeping ones and whatnot.
Sure, exactly. You want to find the key and the 9th door.
I am looking for something to do after work. I'm trying to play less video games.
I mean,
Robert Oppenheimer suddenly appears in your head and you write a script about him.
All of that shit. You want to plunge a flaming sword into the heart of a dead god and reignite the ancient times.
The fires of old, man.
The fires of old will burn anew.
I've been playing a lot of Conan Exile and the Hyperion or the Hyborian times, man. They seemed fun.
Sounds like you need to play more video games. All right, I'm going to go first. I take the sneaking skull, which is a relative of the speaking skull. It actually is the speaking skull. It's just been especially sneaky lately. It's trying to hide from us.
It bit my ankle the other day. I didn't hear it though. Only felt it.
Snuck right up on you, and then your feet turned into skulls.
I'm going through the skullification.
You had to get that Monstroco cream that deskulls your feet. Foot deboner. By Monstroco. It's like one of those foot massager machines, but it's just a horrible grinding sound when you turn it on.
Are you tired of your little toes being skulls? Make them flippers. It's the boner.
Reignite the heart of the old god. Get flippers. I want to talk to you guys today about a cryptid that I recently stumbled across. We might have talked about this, but I don't think so. Have you ever heard of the knot deer?
Yes, but I don't think we've talked about it.
I only have a vision.
Or if we have, it was briefly.
I have a vision of a deer tied in many knots.
So
is that correct?
No, I found a really neat article that was about it was like 7 animals that were once thought to be cryptids and then turned out to be real. And I was gonna do that, but I was like, this doesn't have the it factor. And I was Googling a picture of one of the animals, which is basically a tree kangaroo. You ever seen a tree kangaroo? They were part of this culture's like animistic religion and their like creation myth, and nobody believed it was real because it was a little man who lived in the trees. And then they found the tree kangaroo and they were like, oh, is that him? And they were like, yeah, that's the little man, because he looks like a little man. Anyway, I digress. I was Googling pictures of the tree kangaroo and I saw a picture of a deer with forward facing eyes. And I was like, what the fuck is that? It was so disconcerting. And I clicked on it and it opened a gate to the realm of the knot deer. So this is from cryptids.fandom.com. They're doing great work down there. This says, the knot deer is a creature said to inhabit the Appalachian Mountains, with most sightings being in the state of Tennessee. Description. The not deer is described as looking like a deer from a distance, but as one looks at it longer or gets closer, something about it is off. The creature's movements are described as being like a newborn deer, but appearing as an adult. Some accounts suggest the creature is double jointed or has additional joints in its limbs. The limbs are described as longer than those of a deer and the chest very barrel-like. The way it moves is said to be aggressive compared to that of a deer. The most defining feature, however, is that not deers do not have eyes on the side of their head, but rather the front, like a predator. This distinction is usually the first thing noticed. A few accounts involve multiple eyes, though most do not. Other uncommon outliers to the typical account involve describing the head as bovine. Interesting. I saw one picture where somebody had drawn a bunch of eyes like within the antlers, which is some terrifying fucking Guillermo del Toro shit.
I found some pictures too, and this one spooks me.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
Very, very upsetting. They're not as happy as I want deer to be. You know, they seem to be angry, or maybe like.
Well, that's because they're not deer.
They're not deer.
they're barrel-chested man deer.
Well,
to fuck you up.
Yeah. Under the behavior segment, they say not deers are said to not be afraid of humans. Those who encounter them state to have an uneasy feeling that there is an intelligence and emotion about them that furthers the feeling that something is off. The not deer.
What I like about that is that there were a bunch of people who were like, well, yeah, so this deer guy, and I went up to him and I was like, hey, what the fuck are you doing talking to my girlfriend? And then I was like, oh no, I thought the thing was going to run away because it was like a deer, but it was walking on its hind legs.
It wasn't afraid of me at all.
Chest.
It made me feel like a real tiny man.
And then it took Rebecca home.
Now, most of the time when I'm fighting deer, they run right away. You know, they're scared of what I'm bringing to the table. The not deer will generally approach humans.
I bring my brass hooves.
The not deer will generally approach humans, and it's because of this that the odd movements are noted. Despite encounters feeling off about the creature, has only been reported to attack if provoked, such as when an encountee, which is the first time I've ever heard that word in my life, an encountee tries to scare them off. So people will be like, blah, get out of here, deer. And then it'll just be like, fuck you, and come right at them. Some accounts of such involve being chased up a tree by the not deer. The not deer may walk on its hind legs for a bit, as some animals do, in order to intimidate or in attempts to reach individuals who are chased up trees. Now, before we get too far into this, I feel like we need to immediately talk about what I first thought
of how many animals you can think of that walk on their hind legs.
Well, no, when I first heard about this, my first thought was chronic wasting disease. These people are seeing deer with that are affected by chronic wasting disease, which is also called a zombie deer disease, zombie deer syndrome. It does horrible things to deer. It's basically mad deer disease, and it eats their brains out, and they'll like deer will like smash their heads on rocks, like trying to get it out. And they quite often will like sustain grievous wounds that would kill normal deer and then still be walking around with like a leg hanging off or like an eye hanging out or something. It's pretty fucked up shit. So that definitely could be it. But some of these encounters are so crazy and scary that it gets into the territory of the somewhat famous Native American mythological creature that we shall not, whose name we shall not speak. So
Phil's cool.
No, different guy.
Oh, my bad. I know who you're talking about.
Sure. The old hair runner, let's call it. Bone crawler? No, that's actually something.
Tomahawk.
No, that's something entirely different. That's the name of a video game we're making.
Oh, that's the name of a great movie.
Well, it's a great movie, yeah.
Under the witnesses, it said that a lot of the witnesses are primarily found on Reddit. So I immediately, of course, jumped over to Reddit to see what they got going on there. And I found a great thread on the Appalachia subreddit where somebody says, "Hey guys, so I don't know a lot or anything about Appalachia, but I recently read some Tumblr text post about an Appalachian cryptid."
That's a good intro to a post on the r/Appalachia.
Yeah. Hi guys.
Spooky Appalachia. If I'm sure you already go there, but someone needs your help.
Yeah. Hi guys. I'm here from Tumblr. Tumblr sent me.
Tumblr's like, we can't help you.
Tumblr text post about an Appalachian
from Burnaby, Vancouver, British Columbia. So don't know shit about this, but
British Tumblumbia. It's a text post about an Appalachian cryptid or local folklore about deer that people see that are wrong. I've looked around the internet and haven't really found any documentation of it being a thing, so I figured I'd ask some Appalachians about it. Personal stories or any information about where the story came from would be awesome. So here we go. This one is from Ampersand Dotsis. A personal account. I lived in Waynesboro, Virginia for about 5 years, less than 10 miles from the BRP North entrance, Skyline Drive South entrance. I used to take bikes and ride along SD all the time, and always kept a year-long membership. Only in the day, though, just to frame the story. One night, I was having a particularly hard time settling in for bed, so I decided to start up the bike and ride up to the first overlook on Skyline, about a mile inside the park. It was about 11 p.m. when I got up there, and pitch black. I killed the bike and got immediately uncomfortable. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but there is a saying in Appalachia, which is, if you feel like you're being watched,
kill
get the hell
bike,
out of there.
Save the child.
If you feel like you're being watched, get the hell out of there. And one of my other favorite sayings from kind of the Appalachian folklore community is, if you think you saw something, no, you didn't.
Good advice.
I'm not a guy.
Raise hell, praise Dolly.
I like fish fear me, women want me.
I mean, so sorry, that's real. It's
I'm not a guy that gets spooked in the dark. Truthfully, I prefer the dark in most situations. You can see people before they see you. Okay.
Sounds like someone who likes to hide in dark corners.
Yeah. You are practically invisible unless someone is looking for you. And I find the natural privacy comforting. Not up there, though. It was a thick, oppressive dark, worse than anything I experienced outside of a cave, and worse than any moonless night on the Appalachian Trail. There's nothing up here besides wildlife, I reassured myself internally. I had my 44 mag revolver from when I lived/hiked in the Pacific Northwest, bear country, and all that jazz, tucked into my CCW holster. So I knew that I definitely outmatched anything that could be up there, two-legged snakes included. I have to go down that road later, I presume. So I sat in the dark, leaning against the bike for a while.
I went hunting man snake in the Pacific Northwest last year, and I definitely murdered a lot of them.
Yeah.
Let's just say Antifa has 5 less legs.
5, huh? Strange number.
Uncle, what did you do last year?
So I sat in the dark, leaning against the bike for a while and looking at the few lights I could see in the valley below. I managed about 10 minutes before I physically felt the hair rise on the back of my neck. I only did 27 months in Iraq, but I remembered that precise feeling someone was watching me. Something bad was coming. It was the same sensation I would get before IDF came in or the shooting started somewhere nearby. I'm no psychic or whatever, but it's a common thing among vets with any time under their belt. Ask them about it. You can feel hateful eyes upon you. The overlook.
So he was just having like PTSD.
Yeah, maybe.
About the Israeli Defense Force.
Well, let's see. The overlook was on a sheer drop, or nearly so I wasn't concerned about anything popping up in that direction, but the mountainside, a thick and untamed woods, were behind me. I started thinking about methed out dudes, not method. I started thinking about methed out dudes creeping the Appalachian Trail, bears and the like. The AT is no stranger to random violence. Still feeling creeped out, I took up a seat on the waist-high stone wall that marked the overlook ledge facing the wood. Again, I can't emphasize how dark it was, but Grizz, you might say, why not turn on the bike and use the lights? It'll at least help you see what's close.
That's exactly what I'd say.
True, but my bike is loud, and the last thing I wanted was attention. Plus, the light would just night blind me to anything just out of view, and the noise would obscure anything stealthy sounding creeping going on. So no thanks.
But, I mean, you go fast, though. Mm-hmm. This is a running situation, and, like, fuck it. I'm out of here.
Closely approaching one. I'll watch and listen for a bit. I sat in the dark for another 10 minutes or so, anxiety getting worse and worse. I heard a few things, but nothing out of the ordinary for a night in the woods. I decided to head on home, since the feeling wasn't going away. Like I said, I had a big bore on me, so anything playing games would be in for a powerful surprise if the games got stupid. Hopping onto my Suzuki, I started it up off the road towards the gate. Now, anyone who lives in the country and rides bikes knows that wildlife is crazy active on roads that aren't traveled often at night. Being nighttime and technically closed, I had to ride around the gate to get in. There were no other vehicles on the road at all. I hadn't seen a single other person since leaving Waynesboro proper. The speed limit was 30 miles per hour, but I clipped along at a measly 15 miles per hour to keep an eye out for deer and wildlife. It wouldn't do any good to fuck myself up in a wreck, only to lay there all night until someone happened across me in the morning. Then I saw it. The term of almost deer is really fitting. Not but quite accurate. Not but quite accurate. Weird. It was like a deer that someone who had never seen a deer drew, but only after someone else described it to them. It stood on the left.
I would really like to see that, like a bunch of children's drawings.
Yeah, who had never actually seen a deer.
Yeah.
It stood on the left side of the road, the mountainside, and I saw the eyes long before my headlights shone it fully. It was big, easily the biggest deer I've seen, and the lack of any horns that time in the year suggested that it was a doe. The head was almost bovine in shape, but fixed to a deer's frame. The legs were too long in proportion to the body, think maned wolf proportions, and the body was extremely barrel-chested. I've always been creeped out by malformed wildlife, and this was no exception. Unfortunately, I had to get it to move, or risk passing within a few feet of it. I was not traveling another 30-plus miles up the road in the other direction to leave through another gate in the middle of the night, and I wasn't getting close to it. Dangers of it spooking and running into the side of my cruiser aside, I didn't want to get near it at all. Stopping and putting my feet down about 30 feet away from it, I tried to frighten it away. I flashed my beams down to low and back to high. Nothing. I revved the engine. Nothing. I honked the horn. Nada. Resting the bike on the kickstand, I left it idling and hopped off. I yelled at the thing and it still didn't budge. So I started to the side of the road to grab something to toss near the deer thing, hoping to spook it away. As soon as I crossed into the other lane, it rose up onto its hind legs. I froze, putting my hand on my gun. I wasn't about to get charged by an angry, confused, malformed doe. It took two jerky, unnatural steps toward the center of the lane on two legs and froze again, staring directly at me. It suddenly shook its head wildly like a dog with a toy, took another short step, then hopped on two legs several times until it disappeared into the darkness on the right side of the road. I stepped back on the bike, mounted it, kicked the stand, and turned the light towards the side of the road. On that side, there was a sheer drop-off, about 75 to 80 degrees compared to the roadway, and the fucking thing's head was just peeking over the edge, still looking at me. The drop-off was about 40 or 50 feet, so there's no way it was standing at the base of the mountainside. I cracked the throttle and beat the hell out of there. Road wildlife be damned. I never went back up on the Skyline Drive at night alone after that. One time was enough. There are things we don't grok out there, or things that just visit for a while. Whatever it wasn't from around these parts. in Hill Talk. It can go back wherever it came from and stay there.
I have no sense about that. That was a crazy fucking thing you just told me.
Yeah, that's a wild one. Here's another story.
I guess the woods would be the place it goes back to.
Yeah, or the woods in another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
The interdimensional woods.
Yeah.
Look, Appalachia is a whole different place, man.
Whole different kettle of fish.
They blew off the top of those. It's like how they found Rodan. You blow up too much shit. You
release the
Rodans.
A lot of descent creatures coming up from the earthworks.
Yeah. Here's another one. This is from Jackie Boy.
Oh,
hi, Georgian here.
Hi, Georgian.
I live at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, halfway in between Chattanooga and Atlanta, and sometimes my family takes trips to the mountains. One day up there, me and my cousin wanted to go cruising around to just take in the views, and it was getting late, around 8, so we started to head back. Well, close back to our cabin, we see a deer on the side of the road, so we slow down. Then as we get close, it walks into the road pretty close to being dead in front of us, so I hit the brakes, and then it stands up and starts walking around on its back legs. And now me and him are freaking out because that's crazy. We've been out in nature with animals.
That is fucking frightening.
Yeah. We've been out in nature with animals our whole lives. I grew up being a minute away from Pine Mountain living out on the lake, but I've never seen anything like it. It just looked so wrong. Its joints didn't move right, and it had arms, not front legs, and upper half like a human, excluding the head. We gassed it around those mountain curves and just kept going. We didn't even stop at the cabin because we didn't want to stop moving. Yikes. And somebody responded to that and says, I know it's coming in late, but we may have seen the exact entity. It used to frequent the area behind my house just west of Atlanta, but I haven't seen it since the Wendigo sighting started rolling in about 6 to 8 months ago. I know what I saw sure as hell matched your description, unless there's more than one, which is far more concerning if you ask me. I guess we're cryptid bros?
Oh my!
I don't think you are cryptid bros.
No, I think they
because
are.
You live in a county where apparently Wendigo is hanging out also.
Yeah,
Wendigo
I think
scaring off the not deer population.
Maybe they're fighting.
Yeah,
we used to
taking
have
over territory.
We used to have a quite beautiful population of not deer.
And
but
then
climate change brought in the Wendigo, scared off all the not deer. So now our ecosystem's fucked.
This is from What Is Macy. Late response, but I live in a highly rural country. I'm going to start over. Late response, but I live in a highly rural county bordering Boone, North Carolina, and Grayson Highlands, Virginia. Lots of twisty, winding back roads in the middle of nowhere. Can confirm I have seen a ton of not deer, especially more toward the Virginia side. It's almost certainly chronic wasting disease in most cases, but a bit of spooky Appalachia tales are always welcome. The deer encounters really aren't anything particularly terrifying usually. They're far scarier when you're alone at night. The rational story is that there isn't a lot to be afraid of, but the more fun, irrational story is that sometimes coming across a not deer is just plain unsettling. So that's somebody claiming it's more of a
fun
chronic wasting situation. Disease situation. This is another one from Sleuth L. Last night, a friend of mine, my boyfriend, and I were on our way back into town from a little day trip. We were on the highway around midnight, and we just see a creature that looked like it was a deer, but almost looked as if it were human. So a human with some deer features. It wasn't one of us hallucinating, because when my boyfriend asked what it was we just saw, my friend said it was a not deer. We didn't see it up close, nor did we stop to find it. My boyfriend sped up to make sure the not deer couldn't catch up to us because something about those unnerved him to the core. Somewhere in the northern half of Kentucky. Very spooky. Here's one more. Hey, so I grew up in North Carolina, and we always had deer on our property, and deer hunting was incredibly common in my town. I definitely know people who had experiences with the not deer, or the Dior, as they sometimes called it. I've heard it all. The quote, it was so human and it had arms. It walked like a person and there was something wrong about its face. But by far the creepiest ones are the ones where you can't tell what's wrong until you can't see it anymore. The most common comment that I've heard were, quote, it looked me in the eyes and I just knew that it wasn't a deer. I got scared and I ran. And after I got back to the path, I realized that all its limbs and its head were on backwards. Yikes. I've seen people come tearing out of the woods, hyperventilating plenty of times, but I've only had one experience personally. I was looking for Holly with my brother when he ran back to the path to grab a bucket because his hands were full, and I was alone. There was a Dior, maybe 15 to 20 feet away. I squatted down and got quiet because I thought it was a baby deer and I wanted to watch it. But then it stood up and I knew something was wrong. I've never been so scared in my life. My brother came running back and he saw it too for just a second before it ran off. And then it hit me that the Dior I saw had way too many eyes. And its legs were just a little bit too long and maybe backwards. I recently moved to Bridgewater, Massachusetts, which has its own set of cryptids, but the Dior seem to be Dior don't seem
Bridgewater
to be a thing here.
Is massive for like weird UFO sightings and shit. Like,
yeah. So there you go. These kind of strange deer that sometimes have something human about them, forward-facing eyes. I saw one story where the person said that it had arms. It had like human arms. So it almost feels like they're catching deer in the process of like changing back into a person or something. Somebody practicing some shape changing work out there, some druids in wild shape. Who knows?
It's a were deer situation for sure. That's what I was thinking on a few of them, especially the last one where it was very much. This was like a human deer.
Yeah, very spooky.
Well, or do you remember I think it was like the pilot episode of the Transformers where they came down and the reason they became
the Maximals. I thought you were talking Beast Wars. I thought you were saying that this was a Beast Wars situation.
Could be a Beast War
kind of situation, but the whole deal was like they analyzed, like, well, this is what everything looks like down here, right? Mm-hmm. These cars, so we'll be like that. Then we'll blend in, and maybe this is just some weird aliens that tried the same thing and saw a deer, which fucking ran off, and then they kind of blew it.
That's always a possibility because, like, when you come down, if you land at the wrong spot, man, you're gonna think something else rules this planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would assume that trees probably are the thing that runs the planet.
Yeah, right.
And it does to a certain extent.
Not for long.
Humanity will make sure.
We'll figure that one out.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. That is my section on the not deer.
All right.
Watch out there, folks.
Deer in name only.
Yeah.
I would like to go next, if that's okay with you, Nate.
Take the sneaking skull.
So last week, Jason of the New Society, whose name I forgot, the study of arcane studies now.
Yeah.
I forgot Society for Arcane Studies. Anyway, Jason Cordova, folklore
our folklorist magician friend.
Yes. Brought to my attention this awesome myth of the Brno Dragon. And this dragon was something in Czechoslovakia or Czechia.
Chechnya?
See, I'm gonna put this one in the
CHENYA.
No. I'm doing bad.
You're doing great.
So he left Estonia.
Formerly the Czech Republic. This is where my people are from.
Well, I don't know how to pronounce that
the
word.
Czechia.
Czechia?
I think. I don't know. I don't know my people.
Anyway.
They've mostly been killed.
Anyway, so he was at a conference and found this tale during that. And it is fucking phenomenal. So this is what makes this tale very special, is that they have the goddamn body.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They have a dragon body hanging in one of their town halls. And I'll show it to you in a moment, but let's go into the story. So hanging in and this is from where am I? Atlas Obscura. .com. And I also have some more stuff from Medium or Mary Boonce Medium.com. Dude, the internet's fucking crazy right now. Anyway, hanging in the old town hall of Brno.
Hanging in the old town hall.
I almost did it myself.
Of the largest Moravian city is the carcass of the actual dragon.
The dragon.
Or so the originators of the Brno Dragon legend would have you believe.
Okay.
One of the most famous legends in the city is that of a dragon that once threatened people. Said this beast.
Hey, you, get out of the fucking car. I'm a dragon and I've had it.
Look, I'm just here to fight non-deer.
So it is said that the beast was savaging the citizens and their livestock, and no one knew how to stop it. That is until a visiting butcher had a brainstorm.
I'll make sausage out of it.
What if we turn this into steaks?
And that's kind of the shorthand of it. Let's go a little bit longer. This is now from maryboonce.medium.com. Thank you, Mary Boonce. Boonce? You let us know in the comments, Mary. So imagine a map of the city of Brno. Today, it's a mix of industry, university, and tourism.
Now imagine it's a map of dragon fire.
Now, right in the middle of this town, covered in spires, like we're talking medieval, we're talking modern 13th century city. There's churches, there's a town hall, many spires, and a cabbage market. It's important. Nice. The sentence from the article or from her piece says the cabbage market will be important.
I don't know why I scoff at that. I eat cabbage all the time and I love it.
Now, where am I? So Brno was a prosperous market settlement when their dragon took up residence by the river, or so the story goes. Very quickly, people stopped coming to the city to trade. At this time, the cabbage market was also open and was exposed and vulnerable to ambushes.
Well, the people want cabbage.
Want those cabbages, damn it.
Yeah.
So this creatures took up residence by the river and is attacking trade merchants as they try and cross the river into the town.
Yeah.
And even if they braved the trip, there was little meat to be had. The butchers had nothing because the dragon was eating all the sheep and cows.
Wow.
So when the livestock was going to the river to feed, it would just snatch them up, gobble them up. There was no fish. because no one liked fish enough to risk approaching the dragon's lair. So they're just like, fuck it, I'm not going to get fish.
I bet there was one guy who was like, fuck, I need a mackerel.
There was a smell.
Oh.
Because what produced there went unsold and turned in the sun. So you just have the smell of rotten dead animals by the side of the river, rotten cabbage because no one's buying cabbage. Despite desperate, hungry, like a human, Roger. Desperate and hungry, someone from the city offered a reward of 100 gold coins to anyone who could slay the dragon.
That's good. That's a good quest.
This is all legitimate.
Now
supposedly there are pamphlets about this.
Whoa. Dragon Hunter wanted.
So people are trying it and they're doing everything they can, but like striking it with their weapons and farm equipment just is doing nothing to this beast. And it's killing them as they try.
They got close enough.
Constructor bots can't do anything to the dragon.
And that is when a butcher from another town, and the Mary says this about them, who we assume was either brave, reckless.
Different butcher?
No, same butcher. That was like the short story of it. Now this is the long version.
Okay.
But I am picturing his magical, like,
butchers were magicians back then. Yeah, they had like all these knives that they always kept sharp and like mysteriously so they could cut through like crazy amounts of flesh.
Yeah, time knife.
Who wants a dragon chopped cheese?
So a butcher from another town who we assume was either brave, reckless, or calculating enough to realize that he can make a killing on lamb, whatever that means. The author of this is British. Jordan, does that mean anything to you?
I think it means he was selling lamb.
Make a killing on lamb. Oh, yeah.
Well, all the lambs were dead already.
I'm just illiterate.
So yeah, he could sell all of the corpses.
So this butcher makes it from the other side of the town, and he's all like, "You guys need meat? I got all this lamb." You guys need lamb?
We got tons of lambs because we don't have a problem with dragons.
Yes. So he sees this is all like, "I can kill this thing." So here's what the butcher does. The butcher took an animal carcass and filled it with caustic lime.
Oh.
Pleased to find an easy meal, the dragon ate the carcass whole and became insatiably thirsty.
Yeah.
It fled back to the river and drank its weight in water.
Yikes.
Supposedly exploded.
Whoa.
Well, as it drank the water, the lime expanded in its stomach until it exploded.
Yeah, the old dragon bomb.
The dragon was
dead.
We
don't throw lime at weddings anymore.
The dragon was
dragons
dead. The butcher was rich, and Brno was, I think I actually pronounced it right that time.
I think you nailed it.
Was free to grow in peace into the industrial center of Chestia.
Oh.
That we don't know today. I'm sure it's great. We're just American and don't know too much outside the States.
Yeah.
Well, it's been like under the authority of a bunch of other people. So
yeah, things have changed, but regardless, it's now a prosperous place that has the carcass of this dragon.
Wild.
Yeah. So let's show you the carcass.
Show me the
carcass.
This is why you need to subscribe to our YouTube. Thank you for everyone that does. Here's the carcass of the dragon.
Of course. It's a crocodile.
One alligator and crocodile.
The people are very much, as you see in this series of quotes at the bottom, "No friend, lay off the delicious Czech beer. That's clearly a crocodile. And I say, listen to the story first. It's definitely a dragon.
Well, I mean, the story definitely lines up with crocodile. It's like it was down by the river.
I tried to play it better to where like maybe it had
nailed
some
it.
dragon qualities, but like it's very much, yeah, that was a crocodile.
I almost said it when you said like something snatching things that go down by the river. I was like, oh, it almost sounds like a crocodile or something, but I didn't want to fart on your dragon story. And then I was right all along.
You're a gentleman and a scholar, Jordan. Let me show you one more picture. This is an old pamphlet of the dragon.
Am I a magical butcher? Maybe. Wow,
A
crazy.
long time ago, they had it actually looking at people.
Yeah, big time, big Peter Pan vibes.
It is pretty huge.
It's an
huge.
unusually large.
Well, not to mention, why would there be a crocodile in Chernyoskin?
So how tall is the average Czech person?
17 inches.
Okay, well, then the crocodile's a lot shorter than we think it is based on this photo.
This is a fairyland.
I'll give him the average 6. So like that crocodile's like 18, 20 feet long.
It's very, very large. And it makes you wonder how it came to find itself in an Eastern European river. I
mean, they're not that far up from the Mediterranean.
Well, sure. And any number of, traveling menageries could have lost a crocodile that then lives comfortably in the river.
It's the same reason there's kangaroos in England, or
that's because of other reasons.
LA.
That's
People are like, I would like a pet, and then the kangaroo grows too large.
Right.
Here's
And
Bruno.
then you flush
Also,
it down the toilet.
Bruno
and it
looks
comes back
beautiful.
And fights the king.
It's north of Vienna.
Look at that.
It's north of Hungary.
I support it.
Serbia? Like, where's the nearest crocodile? Fucking Egypt?
Yeah, this is definitely something that got loose.
But it's not like crazy that it wouldn't have been able to get there.
You're
I
right,
guess it
because
could have just
like Jordan
traveled.
said, it traveled with someone. Like a rich king was all like, I must have my pet crocodile.
Yeah, I must
They're
have
not-
it.
They're not gonna believe this shit.
And then it bit his hand off, and he was like, I don't love it anymore.
My
I've
golf
fallen out
swing
of
has
love.
changed.
Well, that's my segment. The fun
Love it.
tale of the Brno Dragon
Very
of Czechia. I am so sorry, listeners from that country and region. I know
Czechia.
you're out there. The middle of Europe gets us like 5 people, and I'm sorry, 5 people.
And I would like to know as well.
Yeah,
My
let us
people.
know how to pronounce your home country on our Twitter.
Let us know what we can do to apologize to your wonderful language.
As we butcher it
As we
horrifically.
butcher it like a magical butcher butchering an ancient dragon.
I thought that was a clever way that isn't also, to wrap up my segment, I thought that was a very clever way of disposing of a dragon. Like
It really
poisoning
is.
the dragon, that's
Yeah.
rarely done, and we should do that in our D&D game. We should go
It's also-
shopping for
It's a
lime.
really good idea. It's also a very brutal way to kill anything.
Yes, it
Also,
is.
if you're a butcher, you're assuming that maybe you're going to turn this into some sort of edible meat.
Sure.
You can't put lime inside.
I don't think he was interested. I think he was more interested in the 100 fucking gold coins
Sure. He's making a killing on lamb.
Yeah.
and then making a killing on
True.
lamb. He's a lamb man. He doesn't know what to do
Yeah.
with dragon. What am I? Fairy tale butcher?
Yeah. What am I going to make dragon gyros out of this thing?
He's already got a full spit of ribs
Yeah.
of rotten dead ass lamb.
Yeah.
Real quick question. Would we eat a dragon? That's from the chat.
Now, if it was like at some sort of fantasy feast,
Yes.
perhaps if it was cooked by someone knowledgeable in these things. But generally speaking, if you're talking about mythology, dragon meat is known to be very poisonous to all who would dare taste of it.
I'm sure there's a little bit of that dragon, like the puffer fish. I'm sure we could get a cut.
You think there's a couple of cuts in there?
Yeah.
If you had, a magical butcher. Okay, so like I'm saying, if there was a magical butcher who prepared it in such a way that I wouldn't contract its horrible poisons, then yes.
Okay. Nate, I would do it. We already know that. I'm a purveyor of weird meats. Meat Tour, Roger Norquist Meat Tour.
Ate a koala last year.
I have been to. You ate a koala last year?
Yeah, no,
it was part of the tour, man. The thing is, they're faster than you think. It's hard to catch.
Easier to catch than chlamydia, in fact. I've been to the Chicago medieval times. So I think I've actually eaten part of a dragon. At least that's what they told me on the menu.
And we serve it on a hard roll with peppers and green relish and long pickle spear and celery salt.
Yeah, like the guy with the green flag
Like
fighting
the guy
the
with
other
the
guy.
thing. Yeah. Go Green Knight.
God damn it. I want to eat dragon meat now. I don't even want to. Don't tell me it's cow.
It's deadly poisonous.
Not at medieval times. They have a magic butcher.
The flesh of the serpent.
I guarantee you, if you Google dragon meat, there is some
kind of
shitty restaurant that
I'll bet it's even
called Dragon
in the
D&D.
I'll bet it's even in the D&D cookbook as like some kind of hyper spicy meat.
I can order it online.
What an age.
See, already done.
$13. I'm going to check out. I'll see you all later when I poison myself.
Wow.
And dragon meat.
Oh boy.
What the shit is that?
The shit.
Oh, all
is
the
that?
vitamins.
All the vitamins and poisons your body needs. All right, Nate, the sneaking skull is yours.
Yeah. Okay. How long do we have? Like
we go do a solid.
Like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was watching Shang-Chi came on the other day.
Of course.
And I love that show, and I love martial arts things. And they, of course, go to Madripoor at some point, which is a version of Macau. And I thought, Macau
hardly know her.
To be well, it's supposed to be just like filled with violence and crime and gangsters and stuff.
Oh,
and I figured it'd be haunted. So I looked up haunted places in Macau.
Nice.
And it turns out, there's a
jackpot, huh?
This is actually from Macau Lifestyle. If you're touring around, these are haunted places you can visit. The first one is Calzada del Amparo. These days, it's easy to fall in love with the beautiful space that surrounds Calzada de Amparo. And why not? Its colorful alleyways and cool shops have made it one of Macau's most Instagrammable streets of 2017.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Written. But did you know it was once called Cannibal Alley?
Good Lord.
I hope for good reasons.
Why did they call it that?
According to legends, during World War II, Macau was faced with a shortage of food, and there was a shocking number of stories of someone going around killing fat people.
Oh, no. I'm the fattest one of us.
One narrated incident that was told of a fat lady walking down the street this late one night, who then vanished, never to be seen again. Legend has it that a restaurant was in short supply of meat, so they slaughtered her and used her body as the main ingredient for their char siu bao.
What?
Oh, come on.
No, that's my favorite one. That's the barbecue one.
Barbecue pork bun.
Yeah. No, I could be
Tasty.
tricked so easily.
Oh boy.
Ate a lady.
Now, my question to you is, would you eat a person?
Yeah, we what?
In a
Twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. Watch me eat all the people as we play Sons of the Forest. I'd eat a person.
Sons of the Forest, Roger turned to cannibalism with absolutely no prompting.
No prompting. I realized that it gave me nutrients and I was like, this will do.
Oh, I'll just eat this.
You're too quick not to eat. Another rumor was that people were kidnapped and locked in a house on the same street, which caught on fire and killed everyone trapped inside.
Oh, brother.
If you're brave, and again, this is from MacauLifestyle.com telling you where to go.
Wow. Are you a cannibal? Welcome to Macau.
If you're brave enough to be walking along this alley in the dark, you might even hear the faint noises of someone crying, the voices of those who perished in the fire. We don't know about you, but the thought alone sends chills down our spines.
Yeah,
yes,
me too.
mysterious author of this.
Yeah, if you can believe it, me too.
Next up is Guia Hill. I don't know, Guia. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but
sure.
Ghost stories have been rife for years in this area. Many children were told that if they were naughty, they would be locked in the underground tunnels of Guia Hill.
Oh boy.
Those tiny, dark tunnels have been the stuff of nightmares for kids for years, as it's well known that in olden times, Chinese ancestors buried their dead in the mountains. It's been said that if you're locked there at night, the ghosts of those who died come out to play.
Yikes.
Yeah,
to
sounds
play,
about
huh?
right.
Well, hang on. If they're coming out to play, maybe this isn't so bad.
Yeah, but they all want to play, and like you only have so much time, and they're very insistent.
And they all want to play Stratego, and they all get super like board flippy about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not fun.
The moment your mind blows them up.
Yeah, they have a whole different version of Rummy Cup. One of the most famous ghost stories of Guai relates to the running track. Rumor has it during the 60s or 70s, there was a young rookie policeman who wanted to challenge the haunted tale. So he decided one day to run a lap around the mountain, holding a lit incense. And when he was about to finish the lap, he heard a lot of footsteps running behind him.
Oh, God. They were just chasing him. Scary.
He looked back and saw a crowd of ghost runners running after him.
Oh, boy.
Horrified, he dropped the incense and fled, and watched as the ghosts swung up and ate the incense.
What?
Which apparently is food for the ghosts.
Okay.
Let's all remember that. Paranormal preparedness. Some ghosts eat incense.
Eat incense.
If you're hanging around Macau, running around a mountain, definitely be burning incense to leave behind you.
Pack some incense bao buns.
Oh, that'd be very good of you. They would love you. They would probably follow you home.
Well, I don't want that.
Oh, I'm just a little one?
Oh, me neither.
Yeah, no, I'm normal. I know.
This one's another thing about running. Nam Van Lake. This thing starts off saying, "Who doesn't love Nam Van Lake?"
Well,
I don't.
I love him in Time Cop.
I don't, just because I've never been there.
Yeah, I have not been there. I do like lake cities.
Love going to the lake. But I can't, by definition, I can't possibly.
Many of us run there. But did you know, and of course none of us didn't, it's the place of an infamous suicide?
No.
Ooh, question mark?
Tales were told that one evening a man was out for an evening jog. and spotted an old lady who stopped him to ask if he'd seen a hat. He said no. She thanked him, and he continued on running. After running for a while, he came across the same old woman who stopped him and asked him if he'd seen her shoes beside the lake. He looked down and realized she wasn't wearing any. He informed her that he'd not been running the evening before, and perhaps her shoes were moved by someone else. She thanked him and again went off. He kept jogging.
Yeah.
The jogger went on with his running and felt something off as he looked back, and the woman had disappeared. When he looked closer, he saw two legs floating in the lake. So he called the police. When they arrived, they found nobody.
What about the legs?
They just found legs, I guess.
Yikes.
Back at the station, he told them the story of meeting her, but they still insisted no one was at the lake aside from other people exercising.
I mean, weren't they sure about that?
The next morning in the newspaper, he saw a photo of the old lady, the same one he saw at the lake. He read the article and realized that she had died days ago.
Oh, wow.
Of course.
And of course, there's Hotel Presidente.
Of course.
Travelers beware, because this is a story of a female guest staying in a hotel room in the Hotel Presidente near Old Lisboa.
Travelers beware. There is a female guest. Oh, story of a female guest staying in the hotel
female
room.
Guest.
All right, I will beware, I guess.
Which honestly, Hotel Presidente feels like the kind of place where they would like already have a female guest or a male guest, depending on your preference.
Oh, it's crime. One of those.
One of them sex hotels you hear about.
Yeah.
Now, most hotels don't allow sex.
There's a very weird sign I see up at some places. Please, no nookie.
They say, cut it out, you. We know what you're doing in there with your thingy.
According to legend, she could remember smelling perfume every time she went into the bathroom. Yet she wasn't wearing any and didn't bring any on her trip. This is from a lady staying there.
Yes. The guest I am to beware of.
Indeed.
She also laid out on the bathroom counter all of her cosmetics, but the next day she woke up and they were all in disarray. Later, she found out that in 1997, the room was a scene of a gruesome murder.
Aha!
A Chinese man had called a prostitute to the room.
Oops.
He had sex with her, then killed her, chopped her body up with a knife, and flushed the pieces down the toilet.
Jeez,
worst way to dispose of a body.
Especially someone who was nice enough to have sex with you for money.
Yes.
Presidente.
Hotel Presidente.
Boy.
And hilariously, it ends with horrendous as the story is. We're pretty sure it hasn't stopped many guests and visitors from staying at the lavish hotel.
From banging hookers in our opulent rooms.
And here's a new one that's pretty fun. Gangwoo Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Hospital ones are some of the scariest.
You know what I say? Hospitals are the airports of the afterlife.
Exactly. You just keep waiting. Estrada de Reposo is one of the most haunted streets in Macau, along which is where Gangwoo Hospital stands today. Several years ago, it was the burial place of the impoverished who were interred in the land as their families had no money to bury them. When the government approved the building of the hospital, many workers were tasked with digging up the bones of the dead into a coffin to relocate the gravesite. But the coffin after all the bones had been placed in it, could not be moved.
Oh boy.
They built one giant thing that they thought they could put hundreds of people's bones into.
Boy. Oh boy. And they accidentally created a Dark Souls boss.
It's a form of poltergeist.
Yeah. Well, of course.
This is definitely how you get all the ghosts. And I love the cost cuttingness of China here. China? Where's Macau?
No, I mean, I think
you don't even know.
I don't.
I don't. I think that they occupy.
No, I got China.
Oh,
right, but they're outside of Chinese jurisdiction, maybe.
Kind of a Taiwan situation.
Yeah,
or a former Hong Kong situation.
Yeah. Or
anyway, if we have any listeners who know, let us know.
Yeah, once again, sorry.
But I love the cost cuttingness of, just we'll give you one coffin. 2 coffins, that's not in the budget. You got to make one coffin work with all these bones.
Can you guys share a coffin?
We need to build a hospital here.
It's also like
over the top of it. I mean, there's some sort of insane irony to that. Like, well, a lot of people died and we shoved them in here. So
are you even saving money if you're just building a poltergeist that you're then going to have to, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on exorcisms and crucifixes and incense buns and all kinds of shit just to keep this thing fat and happy?
Also, our hospital's a casino. If you hit 3 bones, you exercise one of the people below you. Here's another fun one. Tapsack Square. Although the plan after World War II was to build a residential complex where now stands the majestic and wide Tapsack Square, several construction workers reported accidents and ghost sightings and were scared away.
As wide as it is majestic.
The project didn't go forward, and local knowledge affirms the bones of a bunch of abandoned bodies are still buried underground.
Oh, the bones are their money.
And finally, we've got Gong Bay border. Which you'll not be surprised to find is a spooky underground burial site.
Jesus.
Before it became the sumptuous wide structure it is today, the Gong Bay border used to be water to which sand was added to create a passage. In the mid-19th century, the Portuguese government decided to build a yellow gate, which is standing now on the right side of the actual border as a monument. So I guess the Portuguese maybe still operate the area. By then, the area was used as a graveyard by the Chinese, a cemetery that stretched all the way to the Linfeng Temple. I don't know how far away that is, but I imagine it's reasonably far. In order to build the gate, the remains there had to be relocated. Locals built a pagoda to house these. It said that one day, Portuguese soldiers working at the borders felt bored and started a targeting competition at the pagoda. So they just started digging up bones and shooting at them.
Oh my God, what a bad... there has to be something better to use for target practice than the cursed remains of people.
Anything.
Anything. Literally, someone's hat. A piece of wood.
The wild, wild west favorite, beer bottles.
Beer bottles.
So what happens is there was a very reasonable bunch of people came up and were like, you're shooting
Yes.
all of our families.
Yeah.
So they attacked the soldiers.
Okay.
Who shot back and murdered a bunch of them.
Oh boy.
But eventually ran out of bullets
Nice.
and became exhausted and were eventually overcome.
Wow.
Nice.
So supposedly there's a bunch of ghosts on top of ghosts on top of ghosts.
Ghosts on ghosts on ghosts.
At the Gong Bay border.
Wow.
It's a whole Five Guys situation.
Yikes. Well, holy moly. There you go. Haunted Macau. Is there anything else that we need to know about
insane. Yeah. No, I think we know too much already.
Mamma mia, indeed. Except for where it is, which I'll find out.
No,
after this.
it's right next to Hong Kong. I found out.
Okay.
It is, but I mean, has it? I feel like it's not been under Chinese rule for some
seems
time.
Portuguese. The name even seems kind of Portuguese.
It's because Portugal
Anyway,
went over to China and was part of the whole Opium War fun.
everybody, check out the Macau Wikipedia
Check out
page.
the Opium Wars.
Check out the Opium Wars. I think you'll like what's going on. Folks, that does it for another episode of Werewolf Radar. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you would like to further support the show and get an extra episode every week, you can go to patreon.com/werewolf radar and sign up to become a Dark Council member, and you can really help us keep the lights on around here. If you want to support us, but you don't want to spend any of your hard-earned Skrilla, you can go to anywhere where you find the podcast and give us 5 stars. The stars are free. Rate the pod. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can like and subscribe to some of the vids there. We've got some
Only some
sketchy
of it.
type
Other ones,
stuff
no.
that we threw up there.
Every episode in video form, so you'll see some of the
Mhm.
images that we share that are not
Yeah.
on obviously the audio podcast.
Yeah, and if you are a Dark Council member, you can actually come and join us for the recording in the Zoom room, and you can see the pictures as we throw them up and crack wise, and you can see all of the stuff that we cut out of it, all the how the sausage is made. You can hear all of the crazy bullshit that doesn't make it into the pod. Like
right
this.
now, I got an edit point.
You'll know how far
Nice.
the Lin Feng
Perfect.
Temple is.
Exactly. What else? Twitch, we're on. Instagram, we're on. Twitter, we're on. All the shit. You'd have to try not to be able to find us on the internet. It's easier. It's easier to run across us than it is to not find
Look.
our content.
If you don't find us, we'll find you.
We'll find you, much like Bigfoot. Don't find us. We'll find you. That does it for this episode of Werewolf Radar. You guys are the best. Until next time, as always, our sign-off line on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky,
Spaceman Joe.
Punch the sky, spaceman, everyone.